Namaskar and good evening, everyone. This is Astha, and I welcome you all to Reinventing School webinar series. This is the first webinar of the 10th week, and we will ideate, debate, and discuss on the topic tips and tricks of lockdown learning. I read somewhere that if you don't come out of this lockdown with better health, fitness, more knowledge, and a new skill, then you have never lacked time, but you lacked discipline. So this is for all our audience out there. If you all agree with me, I request you to come closer to your keyboard and write yes in chat box. Great. So I can see that none of us denies this fact. Wonderful. You know, being an adventure sports company, I can say that adventure sports has made us perseverant and taught us self-discipline. We at Rocksport adapted this new skill and have transformed the Reinventing School physical conferences to virtual meetings. While many of us may find work from home situation challenging, one of its perks is that while doing the most difficult task, we can sip on our favorite homemade beverage. Today, I am very much excited to introduce our panelists. I also want to share that I have joined this conversation with my energy drink, and that's my all-time favorite masala chai. वो कहते हैं ना, मजबूत रिश्ते और कड़क चाय धीरे धीरे ही बनते हैं. तो चलिए चाय पे चर्चा से उन्हीं मजबूत रिश्तों की शुरुआत करते हैं. So let's ask our panelists about their favorite beverage. Are they a coffee person or a chai lover? Let's start with Jyoti Gupta ma'am, principal at Delhi Public School, Sahibabad. Ma'am is a national awardee. She has been awarded with the State Award for Teachers. Ma'am has embarked on her professional voyage as a member of DPS fraternity, and her enriching career spanning almost 3 decades has seen her blossom as an able administrator par excellence. Welcome, ma'am. Please tell us, what do you drink to bring back your energy?
Thank you, Ashika. Thank you for such a lovely introduction. So coffee keeps me alive. So that's my favorite beverage. So that's what I'm enjoying here. And it's a pleasure being here. So good evening, everyone. I hope you all have a nice evening with all of us today.
Thank you, ma'am. That's great. Moving on to our next panelist, Archana Sagar ma'am, principal at Ridge Valley School, Gurugram. Mrs. Sagar has an above 26 years of rich experience in the field of education. She has been the principal for 10 years. She is known for her expertise in curriculum mapping, developing strategies to drive academic improvement at all levels of educational development. Welcome, ma'am. Please let us know what is there in your cup and what makes it special.
Oh, thank you so much, Astha, for this lovely introduction. Well, in my cup, I have water so that I can blend everything into this. And I keep having water throughout the day. I so just love having water all the time.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next panelist is Nisha Sharma ma'am, principal, Ryan International School, Faridabad. A seasoned educator with over 25 years of experience in the field of education. She is the recipient of Atal Bihari Vajpayee Award conferred on her by Avantika in the year 2018 and 2019 consecutively. That's amazing, ma'am. Welcome. What is the secret drink in your cup today? Nisha, ma'am. Ma'am, kindly unmute yourself.
I'm unmute. Am I not audible? Am I audible now, Asta?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
A very good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here on this very prestigious platform. And thank you, Asta, for that lovely introduction. And yes, you asked what is there inside my cup. So I am a green tea person because I believe in going green. So let's go green, keep this earth beautiful, green, and what else? Just see outside. This pandemic has taught us all. So nature has, hunkered us down, and see everywhere it is greenery, and our rivers are clean, and our minds too. So pleasure being here. Looking forward to a wonderful session. Thank you.
That's a great thought, ma'am. Moving on to our next panelist, we have Preeti Ojha ma'am, principal at Delhi International School, Dwarka, Delhi. Ma'am has received International School Award accredited by the British Council 6 times. Ma'am is a facilitator with the British Council since 2007 till date for core skills for teachers and leaders. That's wonderful, ma'am. Welcome. Tea or coffee? Preeti ma'am, please unmute.
Thank you so much. It was a wonderful introduction. Am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am.
I think it's a wonderful introduction that you've given for all of us. I love a cup of tea. Since the time I was a teacher, I used to easily get it in the staff room. Since day, once a teacher, always a teacher. I love it because it gives me a lot of calmness. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. Finally, I got a tea lover to accompany me here. Thank you. Our next panelist is Ruhani Kohli, ma'am, Director of La Blossom Schools, Jalandhar. She did her master's in management from London Business School in 2009 and has been connected with this field of education ever since. Welcome, ma'am. So what is brewing in your cup?
Well, Asta, brewing in my cup is coffee with Dr. Jyoti, ma'am. And I've always been a coffee lover. The aroma, the taste brings out new thoughts in me and makes me happy, which helps me work better. So coffee is my thing.
Wonderful, ma'am. Thank you. Moving on to our next panelist, we have Dr. Sangeeta Arora, Principal of K.R. Mangalam World School GK2, Delhi. Ma'am has more than 27 years of experience. A spontaneous person with a disarming sense of humor. She loves the outdoors and adventure. Wow. Welcome, ma'am. What are you having today? Sangeeta, ma'am, please unmute.
Good evening to everyone. Thank you so much for a wonderful introduction that you have done right now. In my cup, I have water. As Archana ma'am, I love to have water because I think that's the basis of any beverage. So it's a basic thing that I'm having, and I'm looking forward for an enriching and a wonderful session with all the distinguished panelists. So good evening. Let's have a wonderful session.
Thank you, ma'am. Last but not the least, we have Vime Jolie, ma'am, former principal, Titiksha Public School, Delhi. Since the time she started her journey in education, over 20 years back, she has covered a lot of distance in various roles in academic delivery and governance. As a person, she believes in empowering those around her. Wonderful thought, ma'am. Please let us audience know about your favorite beverage.
Yes, hi. Thank you, Asta. Good evening, everyone. I have lemon tea, all-time favorite. So thank you very much. Look forward to interacting with all of you. Thank you.
Great, ma'am. Thank you all the panelists. Before we move further, I would also want to know what is our audience's favorite beverages. For this, we will have a quick poll coming up on our screen right now. I will request all the audience and panelists to vote in 30 seconds. So here is the poll. First question says, what is your preferred high tea time? So Sangeeta ma'am, what is the preferred timing for you to have tea?
If I have to have it is 4:30 to 5.
Great. So the second question says, what would you prefer drinking during high teas? Is it classic tea, green tea, black coffee, coffee with milk? So Archana ma'am, as you said that you love to have water, but if you are given these 4 choices, what will you prefer?
Well, I'll prefer green tea.
So the third question says, where do you enjoy your high tea? At home or at school? So Nisha ma'am, how would you like to have your high tea, at home or at school? Ma'am, you are on mute.
Me, this tea time is at home only. Like right now I'm having it, so this is the perfect time for me.
All right, great. Thank you, ma'am. Let's see what our audience has to say. Can we have the results, please? All right, so preferred high tea time for the audience is 5 to 5:30. 51% of them says that. 58% love classic tea and 93% enjoy their high tea at home. That's wonderful. So I think that tea and teachers have a great bond.
Yes.
Thank you all. I request all the audience to keep writing your questions in Q&A box as we are going to have Q&A session towards the end of the webinar. So the topic of today's webinar is tips and tricks of lockdown learning. And I request all the panelists to share their thoughts and opinions in 5 minutes. We also have a buzzer to remind the panelists that 4 minutes are over. Hope that will be helpful. Now I request Jyoti ma'am to kickstart the conversation. Over to you, Jyoti ma'am.
Thank you, Asta. And I also take this opportunity to welcome all the guests and panelists here, being a moderator for this webinar. So tips and tricks in this lockdown. I would begin by saying that nobody is an expert here because something like this is unprecedented. None of us knew that the lockdown is going to come in and all of us are going to be confined to our homes. And the least of all, the children didn't know, and they still can't understand as to why are they at home and why are they not being allowed to go outside, enjoy with their peers, enjoy with their friends, why aren't they going to school? Because as much as you try to tell them, they still want to run out of the homes and go and visit the friends, play with them, kick some balls with them. So it's very, very difficult for them. So it's been difficult for all of us. So all of us are going through it together. And I keep saying that all of us have our eureka moments where we find new ways of engaging students, where we find new ways of engaging with everybody, the entire community around, and then we share our best practices with everybody. So there are, I'm sure the panelists are going to share their tips and their tricks as to how they have engaged the community around them. It's been a difficult time because the domestic help at home is not there. The teachers have been doing their domestic work. The principals have been doing their domestic work, that they've been also engaging with the students, they've been engaging with the teachers. None of the teachers were ready with the online teaching, so a lot of time has gone into planning of the virtual classes. A lot of time has gone into the planning of the platforms where the online engagement can be there. Especially for the younger children, it's been very, very, I would say, challenging, where we wanted to limit the screen time. We don't want the children to be sitting in front of the computers all the time. So we've been planning to engage them fruitfully through the activities, through some art, through some sports, through some physical activities, some home economics, some financial literacy. So one of the good things has been that the entire family has been together. The grandparents, the parents, the children, everybody has been together. One has not seen this kind of time earlier, where the entire family was cooking together, was eating together, was having all the meals together. The children had a lot of learning experience there also. So I would say, where all of us do not have to finish the entire curriculum that has to be done in the schools during this time, it will really not matter if the children do study a little less, or the teachers teach a little less. It's more important to engage everybody fruitfully. Mental health is very, very important. Sanity is very important. Children and the parents and the teachers do not get into depression is very, very important. So keeping everybody together, the entire community together, is very important. So with this, I would like to invite the panelists to share their views as to what this lockdown, whether it was called by the government, or now it is a self-imposed lockdown by the people, because people are really scared of going out. It has never happened earlier that death was outside your door, so it's been as scary as that. So I would first invite Archana Sagar ma'am to share her views about the tips and the tricks that she has been using in order to keep people around her engaged. So Archana ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, Jyoti ma'am. Thank you so very much. Good evening, everybody. Well, first of all, I really would like to congratulate and a big thank you to all the teachers and parents and students who have really embraced technology in this, I will say, crucial times. Now the question comes that what are the key components of an effective online class? Now, when we talk about online classes, I think the first essence of learning is to learn. And I think when we talk about learning, learning should continue. And that is the reason that we have switched over to online classes. Now, when we talk about tips and tricks, like our classes are mixed pot of students, we have different ability children present in our classrooms. So are the teachers, so are the schools, so are the parents. So I think, you know, one shoe cannot fit all. So it's very, very important that, you know, when we have embraced online learning or when we have embraced online teaching, that what is the fundamental principle which we are going to follow. And if I say so, the fundamental principle of learning and engagement, they are the same, whether you are in the virtual class or you are in the physical class, because we are using collaborations, we are kind of putting things together, we are creating relevance that yes, whatever we are teaching to the children, it should make relevant to them. And at the same time, keeping our board classes in mind, definitely we have to maintain that rigor. Apart from maintaining the rigor, the most important thing which we are doing at this present time and which we should have done throughout is maintaining and kind of, you know, continuing the relationship with children and with parents. Now, this is what we say that why is online learning important and what is my readiness for this online classes. Do I know the technology which is going to support me? Now, when I say why is this online learning important in these difficult times, because we really need to maintain the continuity. We just cannot stop ourselves and sit at home because this situation is there. So this continuity, and I believe this is the right time that we are embracing technology so beautifully so that we can lose the shackles of rote learning and can make children responsible for their learning. So that, you know, when we say teachers are the nation builders, I think this is the right time. We make children responsible, we make them accountable, we show them the way that how they can embrace the technology in the right manner and how their learning can be fruitful. And at the same time, when I say all teachers in every school, they are not the same. So teachers need to understand the importance of the technology. Like in current scenario, I think there is plethora of, you know, resources available to us, whether you talk about Kahoot, whether you talk about Khan Academics, whether you talk about Eat Pashala, whether you talk about Diksha. Now, I think this is what we need to decide, that what fits my children very well. Technology should not be just to upload the assignments and send it to the children. I think here we need to see that how we are empowering our children. And I think no time can be better than the present time when we can empower children with this fact that where they can lead and they can study the way they want to study. Then second thing which I really would like to say, that blended learning, in present time, we are having both the things available to us. The teachers are there to guide the students, and at the same time, children have the technology where they can find their own ways to learn. So the blending technology, blended learning, which can be there with the students, where it is not like the past time when we had tight control on the children, but in today's time, with this technology available, we can have loose control and we can have tight support to the students. So I would like to say that teachers, they have to embrace the technology in such a manner where they know about it in detail and they can make the best use of it. And at the same time, they can empower the students where they can kind of take their learning journey forward. And then this technology has given us this opportunity that we can do the differentiation so effectively in the classroom, which was earlier not possible because children were there. Now we can have synchronous, asynchronous, we can have our own timings. So I think, this is the best time where we can change the scenario of Indian education system. And I'm so really very happy that Ridge Valley is kind of, working with all the stages of that SAMR model, where we are not only substituted the traditional teaching with the technology, we have augmented, we have modified, and at the same time, we have redefined the ways of connecting with the children, where we are able to not only provide support, but at the same time, we are giving them the direction in which they are finding that, yes, learning can be like this and they can take it forward on their own. So
wonderfully put up. You've put forward all your points, Archana ma'am. So blended learning is the way to go. Even after, I think, the schools reopen, the technology is still going to be there. So very rightly put, collaboration and differentiation, which was not possible with 35, 40 children in the classroom, one-on-one learning, that is possible today. So online teaching is a must, and we'll take up the questions that are there in question answers later on. I would now request Nisha ma'am to also share her journey during the lockdown. What are her tips and tricks? And there are a lot of teachers who are out there, a lot of principals who are wanting to know, what have you been doing in your school?
Thank you ever so much, Jyoti ma'am. It's a pleasure, I'm able to express my views here, because that is the need of the hour. You should have a platform where somebody is there to hear, right? So because that's what our students are also looking forward to. So at the outset, I would like to thank all the teachers, not only RINES, but all the teachers anywhere in India, that they deserve a really thunderous applause, because the way they graduated into this tech-savvy mode was really, really exemplary. Nobody ever thought of it. Hindi teachers making Google Forms, right? Who says that you cannot do it? Teachers are learners always. They have proved it. Like, it was an accidental thing. This pandemic happened to us accidentally. Nobody expected it. But see, when we say that when going gets tough, the tough gets going. So they have proved. So a heartiest congratulations to the teachers. Without them, we could do nothing. So I would like to share this with delight, that when it happened, the lockdown happened, within 24 hours, Ryan was online. So that says all. We just took a remote meeting. We could not give them a formal training, but still they really, really proved themselves. Such are the teachers. So teacher fraternity has got a lot of potential, and they've been proving it on every front. They're using technology to their advantage. There are so many resources online available, but let me share with you all that, as the panelist Archana ma'am also said, that it cannot be one solution for all, right? A student might not be able to understand a very kind of high-tech question, or maybe the HOTS questions. So these lessons are custom made. The lesson plan that our teachers are designing, they are they are keeping it in mind. It's not like that, that 40 minutes physical classroom teaching. It's not that. It's something wherein we have to connect to the student first. How are you? Are you fine? Enjoying? To break that ice. So that ice breaking is being used for sure. Then content is not the king here, but yes, life skills are. The competency-based education is the king, because we have to train them to fight the battle of life. It's not exam-based learning that is happening, at least at RINES. We are giving them competency-based education. It's not during lockdown only, but it is, that is the way of RINE teaching, that we always, our chairman sir says that they should be the employers. They should not be the employees. They should create employment, all Rhinites. So that is how it was not that difficult for Rhine teachers to fit into the new mode, new role. Of course, there were certain teething problems. The biggest problem was unlearning, because it's easier to learn, but it's very difficult to unlearn. I know this topic very well. So I used to teach very well with my blackboard, but where is the blackboard? So to that also our teachers, they found solutions, you know, to the extent that some of them, they use these folders, transparent folders within that white sheet, and it was a whiteboard. Wow, wow, that is a eureka moment. As Jyoti ma'am says, everybody has eureka moment. So my teachers had those also. Every time they come up with such a beautiful idea. And at the same time, as we are discussing about mental health also, which is very important when we talk about little children, when we talk about adolescents, and when we talk about teachers, because if you have a healthy mind, then only you can be receptive. So we are planning our lessons that way, that there is fun time. Just 3 days ago, we organized virtual picnic, and that was a big, big hit. So all these children, we told them it's a virtual tour to the monuments. All of them, they were there with different monuments. Somebody was at Taj Mahal and they had laid out. Their parents were also very supportive. So I thank all the parents also that they are also working in sync with us. So this is keeping our children also very happy. They look forward to their classes. I have given one tagline to my teachers for their classes, that your students should look forward to their favorite serial, right? Your class has to be like that, hooked onto that. So we should not, you know, that whole time it used to be like, you know, that in online teaching is very insipid, wherein only some presentation is going on. No, it's a blend of everything. Some activities, so we are using flip learning. Students take control, they are the controllers, they are making their own quizzes. There are so many you know, those sources are there, which we are, all these resources they're using, and they're giving beautiful lectures. They are coming in G6 and they are taking the classes. So this is actually competency-based education, where student engagement is the key factor. So we have knocked down the lockdown with the right kind of strategy, and our students are very happy and teachers are very happy. And time to time, we are organizing stress management also with them. And for keeping their mental health very well, we are telling them 3 C's are there. One is your communication, second is consistency, third is control. So we are in continuous communication with them. There is consistency of the students to talk to their teachers, and students make their plans with, you know, they talk to their teachers, so they are in control. They know today I'm doing this. Teacher says, okay, so you know who's your best friend. So all that kind of informal kind of conversation is happening between the student and teachers. They go extra mile, give them a video call, talk to them, and have fun together. So it's not only learning, but yes, having fun is also very important. And we are, you know, increasing their emotional resilience, which is very important, because if your emotional quotient is high, nobody, no situation can deter you from being successful. So that's what I say: stay happy, stay healthy, and keep on this journey of learning. This is one pandemic. You never know what happens tomorrow, but we are braced up for every calamity, and together we shall overcome. Thank you.
Wonderful, Nisha ma'am, very well articulated. And the takeaway from your talk is 3 C's, that is communication, consistency, and control. So wonderful. And very well articulated that yes, the students are becoming responsible and accountable for their own learning. Competency-based curriculum is the way forward, because till when will we keep testing the knowledge and the understanding of the children? Flip learning also, I'm sure a lot of teachers out there later would want to know, how are you flipping the classes? How are you flipping the school for home? And how have you flipped the home for school? Wonderful. I think it's time for poll, Asta, now.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So we have our second poll for the audience coming up on the screen right now. So as the previous one, we get 30 seconds to answer this one too. The question is, do you think learning outcomes have gone down during the lockdown? It says not at all, a little, yes, absolutely. Okay, so Virmi ma'am, what do you have to say about this? Kindly unmute, ma'am.
What I believe during the lockdown, learning outcomes have not gone down. Rather, children have tried to adapt to the new technology and they have really, really tried to embrace. So is with the teachers also. So it's not that it's gone down completely. It may be, in proportion a little, but not completely gone down. So they have learned. Rather, they have learned more with the technology. Yes.
Absolutely, ma'am. Thank you so much. Let's see what our audience has to say about it. So can we have the results, please? Okay, so 66% of people think that no, the learning outcomes have not gone down during the lockdown. 30% says a little somewhere, and 4% are agreeing to the statement. Okay, all right. So I think that we have connected well with the audience, and that's a great moment for all of us. Moving ahead, Jyoti ma'am, over to you once again. Thank you.
Thank you, Astha. It's very encouraging to know that 66% of the people feel that the learning outcomes have not gone down at all. I would have been heartbroken otherwise, because I feel that the teachers and the principals and the entire fraternity is working overtime right now to ensure that the learning outcomes that we had designated for the children are achieved by the children. The learning objectives that were set out for the teachers, or the teachers had set out for themselves, they achieved those learning objectives. And very rightly put by Vimi ma'am that the children are learning more, because as Nisha ma'am just shared, or Archana ma'am just shared a little while back, that the children are collaborating with each other. So there are skills and competencies that all of us are focusing on. Children are taking they are taking the responsibility of becoming the lifelong learners themselves. So there's no question of the learning outcomes not being achieved at this point of time. Preeti ma'am, you've worked with so many various projects, and you've always been a front runner where the innovation is concerned in schools. We're all waiting to hear from you the tips and tricks that you have applied to your school during this lockdown.
Thank you so much, Jyoti ma'am. It is wonderful to hear the first two panelists talking. I think till the seventh panelist, we wouldn't be left with anything to speak. I hope it doesn't become repetitive, but definitely I would like to now emphasize on something which I really believe in. Learning outcome was an apt question just asked before my talk, because I feel that's the essence and that's the need of we going remote learning. I wouldn't call it online, because I see online sometimes becomes very easy for somebody to think, but remote is actually very difficult until the teacher is not prepared enough. I will directly go in the classroom with the teachers, because that's where the real warriors are. We talk about all that we have in our mind and the reflections that we are getting from so many webinars and the leaders of the institutions. But when I go inside the classroom, I see that there's a huge rigor, resistance, and need for them to go ahead with a very different kind of a motive in the classroom. Now, when we talk about any teacher talking to her student, she was inside a classroom. Now the entire scenario has changed. She's gone inside a window. Now that window has got 40 more windows. Which window will switch off stating, I don't have an electricity in my house? You never know. The engagement of the child with the teacher has to be very strong. This is what I feel, and rightly told by the previous panelists, that you have to make the children curious enough to wait for the teacher to come as if the best serial in the television is going to be coming up, because that's what is the scenario in today's date. I would like all the teachers to please grab a paper, pen, or whoever wants to, because I'm going to come up with some of the most important and crucial professional needs required. And I would like to name few of them which you might be knowing. I'll be very happy to know that. But if you don't, you can always go on to more ways of active experimentation, concrete experience, and reflective observation with conceptualized learning. The first thing that I feel is webinars is the best professional development that a teacher can go through, very easy. Second is blogs. Third is videos. Fourth is ebooks. And if you have online courses and MOOCs, please register yourself. They're absolutely free. The most important in the end as a professional development course, I would like to let you know, you should have self-assessment programs scheduled. You should know that you're not running around and just trying to convert your entire lesson plan, which is not wanted by your students. You have to make sure that you're doing something which is their need. The resources that are available for professional development extends to TED Talk, Evernote, Penzu, Teach, Learn, Lead, WordPress, and Coursera. These are one of the most important resources that you can see online. When I talk about something, when you have to engage the children, how to make them curious, how to make that cereal so spicy that they come in and they want to be one of you who's on the screen. So the best app which I have found and I have seen teachers using is Soundlight, Quizlet, Seesaw, Kahoot, ClassDojo, Schorative, and Edmodo. These are one of the best resources that a teacher can use to analyze the data that she will get in the form of children's feedback and various other apps, which I've just now told you. These apps will help her to analyze and assess how she needs to go for her next class, because that's going to build a new class for her. The various resources, most of the teachers ask me, how do I find it? What exactly do you expect me to find online? And my creativity also gets shuns if I don't see something which I am expecting to be already there, because you can't do undoing of what you have already taught to children. So there are lesson plans already there. There are worksheets online. There are activities, online games, posters, flashcards, authentic text are available, picture, video, audio, flippity. You have all the resources already available for you to work with children. But what is something which attracts them the most is Toon Tactics, that is animated tools, which helps the children, Telegrammy, Flipper Clip, Animator, Quiz, Pletagon, Bouncy. And the most important, which I feel that teachers should use with the help of children, is Podcast, Google Slide, and Prezi. These are some of the tools which I've tried to let the teachers and the educators know that computer science is not a subject. It's a tool to facilitate what you're exactly trying to teach the children. So please make sure that you're strong and smart than the student so that they are able to learn and unlearn through you. Thank you so much.
Wonderful, Preeti ma'am. You've shared a number of tools that can be used by the teachers to assess the children and for them to collaborate online. Kahoot is a wonderful tool because that allows the children to, that allows the teacher to get to know whether the child has understood or not, and what is the level of the classroom. So wonderful tools, and especially the online courses that you have just told the teachers. I'm sure they can, there's so much available today that the teachers can enroll themselves for these courses and they can make use of these free resources. Thank you so much. And I would now request Rohani ma'am to share her tips and tricks as to how she is engaging her community.
Thank you so much, Jyoti ma'am. And thanks
please
to
unmute yourself, ma'am.
Am I audible now? Thank you so much, Jyoti ma'am. And thank you to all the presenters so far for sharing such valuable information, the tools, the learning outcomes, the way we should plan things ahead. COVID has been a very sad situation that we've encountered. But you know what I am worried about is that repercussions of this situation are going to stay, especially on the mindsets. While there'll be a lot of positives, we will adapt, but there are going to be things. Students miss talking to their peers. They miss looking at the faces of their teachers, who could get a sense of what the child is going through. I mean, there is research that indicates that prolonged stress, boredom, social isolation, lack of outdoor play can lead to a lot of mental health problems in children. And that's what I'm worried about. Here, the online classes are indeed a blessing, because with the help of online classes, at least child has something to look forward to. It's not about how much they are gaining out of it. It's about that they are getting at least something out of it. They're able to see the faces of their teachers. They're able to see the faces of their peers. And that's the advantage that online classes are providing. online classes, remote learning, different ways, we are indulging them into something productive. I know the entire community is not able to make use of it, and there are a lot of problems we are encountering that we are trying to handle every day. The biggest tip for lockdown learning that we as a school, LBS, believes is that since we cannot be present with the students, I think a very close coordination with the parents is the most essential thing at this point of time. It is because they have to be the eyes that we had on the kids. Now, when they would come to us and we could sense, now through a window, through a screen, we are unable to sense those things. So a very close coordination with the parents can help us, stay in touch with the children, connect with them. And that is the trick that I would like to share. Earlier, we had limitations on when to contact the parents. But now, with all these virtual modes, we can organize PTMs. We can sit with the parents. A virtual meeting with one section at a time will get us a sense that are children facing any difficulties? Are they convenient with the entire process or not? We have been organizing and we've got a lot of things, sometimes there has been motivational words coming out for the teachers, which really acted as a boost for them. They went another step ahead to help the kids because they could recognize that their efforts were being recognized. There were a few parents who were not taking things seriously. But when they realized that there is a huge chunk of parents, there is a huge percentage of parents who are very serious about it, and this is the option they have, they became more serious about it. The second mode that we could share, rather than conducting PTMs, is an online portal or a forum where parents could share their feedbacks. So, we have a school app where there's a feedback option and parents can send us personal feedbacks which come directly to the selected team, which listens to their feedbacks and works on it. So with these things, we have been able to manage the schedule a lot. Sometimes there was a clash of only 10 to 15 minutes and the parents could not manage 2 to 3 kids together. And 15-minute changing the schedule was an easy option for us also as educators. So these kind of things helped us manage the schedule a little better. We've come across feedbacks that a child was feeling left out, was facing some sort of emotional burden where the teacher could connect with the child individually without the parents knowing. So the major thing that children mind is the parent going and telling the teacher this is the problem. So with a message coming across to us, they were not even aware that the school has been informed of the problem they are facing, and we could tackle that problem very easily. And the third mode that we have been using to connect with the parents is a lot of videos that we record and send them. Because a lot of times a written communication does not have the same impact as a video lecture. So when we send out a video, they become a little more aware of what we as a school are expecting out of them. So if there is an evaluation, what is the purpose of the evaluation and how they are supposed to conduct. So we have been sharing a lot of videos with the parents where we upload them on our page and we share a link with the parents so that the two sides can be on the same page. Here, all of us are facing a difficult situation, but it's the kids that are the major loss because they do not know how to handle emotions. And they do not have a lot of people to share it with. A lot of them may not be very close to their parents. So both sides, the parent community and the school community has to work hand in hand so that we can get the best out of the kids in this time. They can emerge stronger rather than weaker. And that's where this close coordination will really help a lot. And I hope we keep using these online resources to stay in touch with the parents. We've also organized live chat sessions where we've answered questions. There's a lot of problem. As soon as the lockdown was announced, there were 4.7 million calls on the government helpline number. A lot of people were facing problems. We are blessed that we are dealing with children who are facing less problems, because there have been problems where children face sexual abuse, physical abuse as well. And we hope we can bring these children stronger by working with the parents in a very close-knit way. Thank you so much.
Very well said, Rohani ma'am. You are so very right when you say that we have to work on the emotional needs of the children, and bringing them to the classroom itself is a challenge today. Parents are facing the challenge of the devices. There are challenges of the bandwidth. There are challenges of the devices. There are so many challenges. And amidst all this, we forget that here is this child who is probably not bothered about his life at all, who just doesn't have to do anything with being well or not being well, but he just doesn't understand as to why all this is happening to him. So if it is if he's not going to the school, then why can't he just stay without getting the classes online? Why does he have to attend all the online classes? And then begins their badmashi of talking to each other on the sides, playing games with each other on the sides. And we've also seen so many memes where the children are, they are muting themselves, and they are going off their video, and they're doing what they're wanting to do. And the teacher is out there, she's calling out the names again and again, and she cannot get the children. So there are all kinds of examples. We've become smart by embracing the technology, and the teachers are working hard. They are learning their way to manage with the technology. But have we forgotten that these children are born with technology in their hands, and they are so tech savvy, and they understand more technology than either one of us understands. So they have their own tips and tricks to give to us, I'm sure. So with that, I will go to Sangeeta ma'am and request her to share her insights into the subject as well.
Ma'am, Sangeeta ma'am, with your permission, can we have the poll here, please?
Oh, yes,
I was just thinking there should be a poll, but then I thought you had changed. Okay.
Yeah, sorry,
Yeah,
my
we will have poll.
apologies. Asta, we'll have the poll first, and then we'll go to Sangeeta ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. So this is the third and the last poll of the evening for our audience out there. Can we have the poll, please? So it says, do you think there is a need for regular teacher training to adapt the new pedagogies? Archana ma'am, what do you have to say? Ma'am, please unmute yourself.
Sorry. Definitely, professional development is very, very important because it's like all the panelists have said, that there are so many resources which are available. Like Jyoti ma'am mentioned, children are born with technology. So I think it's very important that, the teachers have to match up to that level. And then another thing is that now when we are taking the class, there are so many things which we have to keep under our control. So unless and until the teachers know that, this is the platform which I'm using, and these are the options which are there on this particular platform. So it won't serve the purpose at all. So it's very, very important that as the pedagogies are improving, as the pedagogies are changing, the teachers need to embrace with new developments. And for that matter, it's very, very important that schools and the management, they spend for the teachers' professional development. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your valuable input, ma'am. Preeti ma'am, what do you have to say?
I totally agree with ma'am, because whenever we are working with children who are dynamic in nature, and the entire world for them is different to perceive, we cannot sit with a conditioned mind of what we have been doing in the classroom. Change is the key to anything that we do, and that needs a lot of effort. Until we don't have a guru also, how will she navigate and reach out to the right audience and the right minds? I think she also needs a lot of hand-holding, and they really need to be supported by us as leaders and various other educational departments. I would like to add in here, if you give me half a minute, that CBSE and NCERT have really done a wonderful job for teachers, especially by uploading so many links and various applications for teachers to learn and teach. Thank you so much, Vasta, for this question.
Guru for a guru. Wow, ma'am. Thank you so much. Let's see what our audience has to say about this. Can we have the results, please? So 93% of them think that yes, there is a need for regular teacher training to adapt the new pedagogies in the education field. Wonderful. So I think that the panelist jobs is getting easy as the audience and we all are on the same track. That's wonderful. Over to you, Sangeeta ma'am.
Thank you so much, Asha, and good evening to everyone over here. As the other panelists have already said that I would also like to do that thing first before I go on with the tips and the tricks that we have also done it and how I wanted to give it to all the members who have joined in over here. I would like to applaud the effort of the teachers because in a very short period of time, they have risen to the challenge of lockdown learning and they have updated themselves. And as the lockdown happened on the 19th and we started on 23rd. And you can think there's only in 3 days, everybody has come online. The whole school came online. Starting from pre-primary to class 12th, and that is something which should be applauded for. And all the teachers have done a wonderful job. Now, we could say that since the time is so unpredictable and different, we need to constantly evolve our teaching strategies. And the research has also said that for the online teaching, the success of the online teaching, it depends upon how we are designing our instructional strategies and our teaching tools. Now for that, there are 9 dimensions and we have taken care of it, and I'm sure everybody over here, all the principal and all the teachers have taken care of it. I'm just wanted to elaborate on those 9 dimensions that has to be taken care of. The first is modality. That means how do we want to go on? Do we want to go on fully online or do we want to go on blended? How do we want to do it? 50-50% or 25-75%, or we want to go it totally web enabled? As some of the like Byju's is totally web enabled. So how do we want to go on? That will depend upon how we define our learning strategies and how do we define our online teaching. The second dimension is pacing. Now, pacing means whether it has to be self-paced. Self-paced means whether it has to be the student can enter and exit on their own, or it has to be class-paced, or it has to be blended of both class-paced and the self-paced. And personally, I feel the third one is of more importance because we need to have class-paced and we also have to give that kind of a freedom to the student to have it for the self-paced. The second is the student-instructor ratio. Now, when we look at the third dimension, student-instructor ratio, right now what we are having is also a learning. We are learning from each other, and the number of participants are more than 100. Now, the way of doing this is totally different. When we have less than 35, it will be different. When we want to conduct activities, online activities, everybody has done it. When we want to have storytelling, when we want to have virtual experiments, whether we want to have virtual tours, though the number of audience will change, and that also we need to take care of. The fifth one is role of the online assessment. This is a very important thing since we all of us are on online teaching. We want to have the assessment. Now, there are 5 roles that we need to consider. The first one is when the role of this online assessment could be if the student is ready for the new content. This is the first role. The second one is tell the system how to support the student, adaptive way of doing it. That also we are doing it. The next is to provide student or teacher with the information about the learning state, where the student is. The fourth one, which you are always worried of, which you are doing in the physical world also, that was about input to grade, how to grade the student. That also we have to do. The fifth one is identify student at risk of not performing. So how to organize the remedial classes. So we need to take care of that. The sixth one is the instructor role online. Now that could be active instruction, that could be a small presence online, and that could be none. The none happen in the modules that we choose like Byju's. There is a none. There's no teacher's role, and it is totally web enabled and the student based. So we need to decide what we want to have. The next one is student role online, whether the student has to listen or read. That also we have to think of. Complete problem or answer question, that also we have to think of when we are planning it out. Explore simulation resources. If we are giving a simulation like for virtual experiment, whether the student is going to do that or not, or they have to collaborate with peers. So these things has to be defined again. Then the online communication, this is the 8th one. And online communication can be asynchronous or synchronous or the blending of both. The blending of both is always the better thing to do. Then the sources of feedback. Now, sources of feedback, we need to think of all stakeholders. We have to think of parents, we have to think of students, we have to think of teachers, and the self-assessment that is very, very important. Because in online assessment, the physical touch, physical contact is not there. So we need to have some modalities to have the feedback. So all these 9 dimensions will define how we want to have our instructional design. Now, after that, we need to have a module to see our student effective learning, how the students are learning. Now, as Jyoti ma'am has already mentioned, the rules have to be redefined from the physical world to the virtual world, the discipline that we want to have, the students switching off their videos, they are sharing the screen, all these things teachers have to learn. So those rules and disciplines are to be redefined when we are having our online teaching. The second one is we don't have to leave our student isolated. We have to have interactive component. Wonderful interactive component you have just now have done it to have a connect with the audience, like the polls. After every 2 person who was speaking, we had a poll. So that is an interactive way, involving. So that kind of a thing also we need to do, and we are doing it in our classes. The next is the opportunities for the communication. Through these polls, you have given an opportunity to the audience to communicate with all of us. Relate study materials to the online, to our real life experiences. And that also we are doing it, and we need to have those kind of a thing. Support for the teachers is also very important. Because they are the ones who are, as Jyoti ma'am has said already, and some of the panelists have said it, suddenly everybody has to be, there is no demarcation between school and home. Earlier, they used to step out of the home and they are in the school. Now there is no demarcation. That empathy needs to be developed among the student, among the parents, that they are also human beings. They are doing each and every kind of work, and they are risen up to this challenge, and they are doing a wonderful thing. The orientation of the parents, student, and teachers that we have done, and every school has done, and it has to be continuously done, so that we all empathize with each other, so that we have wonderful, effective teaching and learning situations for our students, and we have effective learning, so that we achieve all our learning outcomes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sangeeta ma'am. Very wonderfully articulated. And 2 things that come out are the challenges of assessment that you have very rightly flagged off, and also the feedback. So it's very, very important to reimagine the entire teaching and learning process, so that we are able to come up with new assessment policies, and the children are able to work better, because we cannot traditionally assess the children in the new avatar of the teaching and learning, virtual teaching and learning that is happening right now, even in the blended learning. So finally, I would request Vimi Jolly ma'am to share her views, her tips and tricks. Please unmute yourself, ma'am.
Thank you. Am I audible now?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. Good evening once again to everyone. I would not be talking about tips and tricks of lockdown and the online learning. Rather, I would speak on the subtopic, which is mental well-being of staff and students. So it's a buzzword these days that in current times, the coronavirus has secluded all of us into our cocoons, and even the celebrities beside, causing us to question the status quo of our lives. So the question is, are we looking at the problem deep enough to be able to uproot it? Or is it enough to simply voice opinions and offer solutions and move on? So to even answer the question of mental well-being, one must first know what is the mind. So most of us would say that it's 1.5 kg organ, which is in between our shoulders. Is that really the mind? Do animals have a mind? And if so, do they also suffer from mental illnesses? And if they do, what exactly do they do? So it's the same mind that does all our thinking, solves our challenging problems, and someday the same mind turns against us. So why does this happen? Now, in this COVID-19, the kind of challenges it has thrown on us, we are, and some of the students and teachers, they have been playing a kind of a pretense game. Most of the time, children, when they are not well, they say, I'm happy, and they wear a kind of a happy mask. And some sort of dark emotions which bother teachers and children are guilt, fake smiles, fake trials of saying that I'm okay. But as teachers, as parents, as guardians, it's our duty that we keep talking. Consistently, we keep approaching to them, reaching out to them, and finding out what exactly is the reason. We always say that we talk about normal, but one thing, do we have all normal human traits? We are human beings. We are crazy. We are fun. We are vulnerable. We are imperfect. We become clumsy, sensitive, and we are angry. And most of the time, we also become very difficult. We are unforgiving. So, as head of school, as teachers, as parents, as mentors, we need to take instant action whenever there is something which is problematic. So if a child is not talking or behaving in unacceptable manner, or a staff is under a kind of a crisis or a stress, we need to go again and see to that. Then the medication and the professional help can be provided. Now, what are the reasons for these kind of behavioral patterns which are bothering, which are disturbing to all of us? One is the too much of increased screen time, the social media, even social media bullying, even the family tragedy, lack of physical contact, because with this technology booming and the increased screen time, the brain has reduced the feelings of compassion and empathy. So that also need to be put into a kind of a check. Now, solutions, if we look for, the mind is like a pressure cooker, and the importance is that we need to give it a vent, let it out, and have importance of time. We need to reveal our authentic self. So this kind of guidance and tips are required for staff and children, so that they are able to adapt to the change rather than resisting. Though the entire teaching community has adapted to the change in a very, very smooth manner, but at times we hear these kind of problems. And the first thing is self-care, which is fundamental. So I have always been advocating the importance of healthy lifestyle for my students. They are advised for physical activity, which most of the panelists have spoken about: aerobics, music, dance, quizzes, all recreational activities which have been going on. But besides that, certain skills which other panelists have also spoken, that we need to go for some online courses which are very, very useful to utilize our time in hand in a proper manner. So one thing what I would like to say here before I close, that coping mechanisms are very important to be identified. For that, teachers can have a group where they can discuss, they can share, and we are there at the back, and we are there at the front as well to help out all our community, student, teachers, and parent community, because schools are the community. And another thing, we need to work out for the feelings. Instead of those dark emotions, the mind is to be filled with gratitude, forgiveness, mindfulness, which is moment to moment, alertness and awareness. And this is again a skill which is to be mastered by everyone. So thank you very much. And the last thing is reducing the ANT, which is known as automatic negative thoughts, and adapting to the new skills and the environment. Thank you.
Wonderful, Vimi ma'am, wonderfully articulated. I think the total sum of the tips and tricks comes to a full circle with you talking about mental health and the emotional health of the entire community, be it be the parents, the teachers, or the students. It is very, very important. I came across a post a couple of days back which said that in this lockdown, if you come out without attending any webinars, without getting any certificate, without earning any points, if you are just sane and and you've been able to maintain your sanity, that is enough. So a wonderful, I would say, articulation from each one of you. And if I try to sum it up, it's the time when all of us have to ensure that the children are meaningfully engaged. The parents, because they are also now they've started working, and the children are home. I don't know till when are they going to be home. Also, there are children who have not yet who are not yet over with their board examinations. They don't know which class they are in, the previous class, or they've been promoted to the next class. So there is dealing with so many children. It is important that we meaningfully engage them. We meaningfully not just engage them in their academics, but also make sure that there are some physical fitness exercises that are happening. The Fit India program that is being conducted by the Government of India, every day in the morning from 9 to 10, there are lessons that they impart, and those who are not able to take those lessons at that time, there's a link to the YouTube that is provided, so the children can do their physical fitness exercises even later on. There is a complete alternative calendar that has been designed by the MHRD through the NCERT, and CBSE has also published it, and widely it has promoted that calendar, which talks about what kind of activities can we do with the children. So it has come at all three levels: the primary level, the secondary level, how the schools should engage the students fruitfully. I would additional content is not very important for the children today. Yes, there is syllabus, there is content to be transacted, but the skills and the competencies are more important today. And I'm sure the policy writers are also working at this point of time with content, and there would be project-based learning which will be coming now, where the children can be engaged to big accountability and responsibility of their own learning. This is the time when the transdisciplinary projects should be done, where it's not just the different subjects that should come together to do the projects, but it's also the life skills and art integration, because art is very, very important. And again, if we look at CBSE, they have written a complete manual on the integration of art, visual art, performing arts, even food as art. So while the children are at home these days, I'm sure we can do some financial literacy with them. We can engage them in home economics. There's a complete generation which doesn't know how to put a thread in a needle. So this is the time when they can do some embroidery at home, where they can be engaged to do some hemming at home, where they can be engaged in doing some best out of waste. So a little bit of engineering, little bit of science in the kitchen can be engaging as well. The children can cook with their fathers or their mothers, and they can know about the nutritional value, the importance of yoga. There are so many ways that we can engage the children today. So what I want to say is that content is important, yes, but it is also very important that we engage the children in a fun and also a joyful manner. And of course, the assessments are very, very important. since we do not know when the schools are going to be reopening, Sangeeta ma'am also talked about it. Even Archana ma'am talked about peer assessment. Preeti ma'am also talked about it. The peer assessment, the self-assessment is very important. So we have to develop tools as a fraternity, as schools, as policy writers, where we start mapping and assessing the competencies of the children, and we start assessing the skills of the children rather than the knowledge and the content, because content is today available through Google as well. So we are not here to test the knowledge anymore, we are not here to test the understanding anymore, but we should be able to assess the children where they're analyzing and applying skills are concerned. So with that, there are a couple of questions that the panelists have. So Asta, if you can ask a few questions to the
Right, ma'am. So now it's time for Q&A round.
Then I'll go on. Saras, okay, I think her frame is frozen. Asta?
Yeah, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible. Can you ask the question, please?
Yeah, sure, ma'am. So it's time for Q&A round, and now we would be taking live questions from the audience. That means if you want to ask a question to any one of the panelists, please raise your hand and we will unmute you. The raise hand icon is at the bottom of your screen. So anybody who would like to answer, who would like to ask any question to the panelist, we would be giving you an opportunity to ask the question live, and we will unmute you. Please point on the button which says raise hand at the bottom of your screen.
So, Asta, should we go ahead and ask the questions till we see the raised hands?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, Preeti, there are a lot of questions on the Q&A where the participants are asking you about the sites once again. If you can tell them the sites for the teachers. Like you were talking about Diksha, you were talking about the other sites, so you can once again tell them about it.
Okay, thank you so much, all the members who are participating in this very valuable webinar. I would like to let you all know that's a long list. In fact, I've got more names. I request you to please mail me. I'll put it on the email. I'll put my email address here, and I'll send you the document which I have. I'll do that so that it makes everybody easily access it with the links. Is that okay?
Also, if I can request you, you can type out maybe a couple of them in the chat box,
Sure,
so that they can take away from here this. So my next question is to Rohani ma'am. During the lockdown, while online classes have helped with the course completion, how do you think other critical aspects of teaching, such as soft skills training, discipline, sports, art, etc., have fared?
I would not say that we've been able to complete justice to it. However, it is possible to help students stay in touch with it and improve on things. So for example, a few platforms, we are still organizing competitions online. It will not be on the same way as we would do it physically in the school. We have also launched a talent forum where children are putting up their talent videos, so parents are putting it, and that's there. So these kind of avenues are bringing out also hidden talent. So in some stages, we have our physical education classes happening as well. Of course, sports we cannot do since the children cannot come out and play group sport. But these kind of things are keeping them active and helping them work out their skills. We're having yoga classes. So complete justice cannot be done.
Wonderful. So, Vimi ma'am. Okay. So, Vimi ma'am, how do you think teachers can help with mental well-being and happiness quotient of students?
Yes. First of all, teachers themselves need to be stress-free. They need to be the wholesome being. They need to be happy. They need to be accepting themselves. And after that, students are to be guided, mentored. Main thing is communication, which needs to be consistent. And we already know the classes we teach that who are the children who are attention seekers, who are the children who have problems, who are the children who have broken families, who are the ones who are really special needs students. So those children in particular can be taken care of by teachers, and extra effort can be done to listen to them, to sort out their problems and to help them out in their learning, whatever it is. It can be minimum, it can be proportionate with the other classes, but extra hand is required. So it's mainly the hand holding, it's mainly communication, and it's only and only the communication and reaching out which sorts out and solves each and every problem. That's what I feel, and that's what we have been telling our teachers to do, because we know our children well. Thank you.
Right, wonderful. Sangeeta ma'am, to you I would like to ask, there are many EWS students in the classes. Many of them have basic phones and no internet access. Please suggest a few ways to help them out. Sangeeta ma'am, can you unmute yourself, please?
Yeah. Sorry. I was saying that especially for our school, we don't have this kind of a situation. When we had a personal chat with these students, they do have the mobile phone. We never face this kind of a problem. But this discussion, when we were talking about it, the shared, this phone, this can be taken up, that the phone can be shared if their neighborhood has a phone. And we were sharing the videos that can be seen to send on the WhatsApp, because they can see the WhatsApp and we can use WhatsApp is one of the medium where we can use it. Again, that has to be after talking to the parent. If any phone is available in the neighborhood, that can be taken care of and we can make use of it. And also there are TV telecast on Doordarshan. There is an educational telecast. Those links can be sent to the parent that they can use this, so that there's some learning and the student is being connected with the school and with the learning.
Wonderful. So, Archana ma'am, I would like to ask you that there are a couple of parents who are not taking to the online model of education all that well. We know there's a lot of politics around that as well. So, and the kids are also following the same thing. How do you handle such situations? What do you tell the teachers or the principals how to handle such a situation?
Thank you, Jyoti ma'am, for asking this. Like initially when online teaching started, when the lockdown had begun, so nobody knew about it, that it is going to last so long. So at that time, everybody had thought that, maybe in a month's time, it will get all right, and then we will be back into the school. But then it had gone and it is on, and we just don't know when are we going to go back to the classrooms. Now, when we started with the online classes, it was very, very important to take the feedback from the like so the students, they are in sync with the school. We cannot take this entire process ahead. So it's very important that we need to tell the parents that why we are conducting these classes and how they are going to help the students. And you rightly said that, at this point of a time, We just don't have to worry about the syllabus, that we have to cover the syllabus. Now, when parents kind of, they are in sync, for that we conducted a poll, we conducted a survey with parents, and we asked them that whether they are finding the timing which the school has kind of, decided to conduct the online classes, are they appropriate? Whether the kind of assignments which are being going to the children, is it perfectly fine? Are they enough? Whether the children are able to do it or not, because this is what we want, children to do the work on their own. We want to lose the control, whether it's the control of the parents or of the teachers, but then we want to tighten the support. We really want to support children in each and every aspect. And for that reason, the parents, what the polls have given us, the reports, they were in complete sync with the school. And those parents who probably had one or the other issues, it was very easy then for us to identify those parents and can speak with them. So the same thing we did with our children also. We conducted a survey with the children, where like Winnie ma'am mentioned about the mental health. I mean, we asked them that how many of them they feel lonely at least once in a week or maybe every day. And we got to know which are the kids who probably they feel, who feel like that, who need the support. So at this point of a time, it's very, very crucial on everybody's part that we connect with the student also, we support them also, but at the same time,
talking generally helps, is what you're saying. Communicating and talking really helps. Wonderful. So Nisha ma'am, Nisha ma'am, I would like to ask you the last question before we can go to the live question. Some students pay attention during the online classes and some do not. So what are the ways of making the classes more interactive and also very interesting for the children so that they all come on board?
Well, I think Astha has already done it with her, polls in between. That is a trick, isn't it? So because, they are listening to us, so many people, coming with a lot of gyan, and all of them are listening to us. So Astha is doing that, kind of a 1 minute break or 30 seconds break, just wiggle it, and then you're back to that proper attention span. Although people say that, we have that goldfish attention span, which is hardly for 3 minutes. But no, I don't agree to that, because you just see, if a child likes to play guitar, he can do it for hours together. If I want to play tennis, I will play without even looking anywhere else. So the key lies in that, which Astha has really cracked. Astha, I must compliment you. It is a very well, thought kind of a webinar. I mean, I've attended so many webinars, and I'm saying it here that it was very well thought of, very nicely, planned and executed. So that is the key, Jyoti ma'am, that we need to see, okay, because, here that there are, when you are in a physical classroom, you can see, okay, that one has not understood anything and is becoming fidgety. But here, that non-verbal clues are not there, because you cannot see whether the child is understanding.
Body language is not seen here.
Right, many times you can't see. So the thing is that you need to pop up things in between, break the monotony. Previously also I told that content is not the king now, right? The skill is, yes. So inculcate that kind of a thing in your lesson that children look forward to it, like their daily soap, so they will be hooked to it. So we are doing that kind of a masala you have to add. Start your lesson with something, informal, right? So just an informal talk which leads them to the formal talk, wherein they don't understand, right, that this graduation has happened.
Also, I think they should be made the center of doing everything. They should be able to explore. They should be able to find out. So more an inquiry-based approach rather than, just a one-way monologue. That's not going to work anymore. So thank you, Nisha ma'am. So Astha ji, can we go on to the live questions, please?
Ma'am, just Preeti ma'am disconnected for a while, and I think that we can have her thoughts on one of the questions asked by the audience in Q&A as well.
Yeah.
Sure, please.
Are you here, Preeti ma'am?
Yeah, I'm here. I can hear you.
Okay. So, Preeti ma'am, how about assessments? How do you think that assessments should be dealt with? Because a lot of transaction is going on right now. And
Exactly.
all of us have, innovated different ways of transacting. What do you think? What are your thoughts on assessments?
From the very beginning, even in being in education and in the classroom, I have always noticed that assessments should be as what you have taught the child, not exactly that to make sure that the chapter is complete. And the same kind of an irony starts when you're online. Online teaching in itself has been a learning for the teacher as well as for the child. The tool has been technically connecting both of them. So if you have a topic, if you have a chapter, if you have something that you have taught the child, accordingly you can find the information with different kinds of assessments which may not be very technical. For example, if you have a group of children who can demonstrate you something which they have learned through your teaching learning process in the form of a presentation, video, uh, anything that you think that the child can convey the knowledge. The major constraint for the teacher is to assess the knowledge. Skill and attitude is something that we deal little later. So if the assessment is done on the knowledge basis, that can be easily done on various aspects to make sure that you can go ahead for the next class. But if you think, no, I have to put these marks and grades to see the progression, that is something that you have to technically discuss with the school and the team, how exactly they want to do it uniformly. I will give you a small example, ma'am. There are teachers who are so creative, and this creativity comes when you write only a word FOUR, four, on the board. Similarly, just write it on the screen. It should be reaching out to the learning outcome which you have designed in your lesson plan. Children support you to find that answer till the time you don't say a yes to an extent that you never even imagined. If you ask a child by showing only a video to do a voiceover, you can't imagine the kind of story the child is going to narrate to you. Imagination and creativity comes into a huge proportion while you are into such kind of assessment. Now the teacher has to become very smart to find a way out how she has to assess each child on what rubrics. That's important, which I feel, which can be easily done, which is not at all difficult, which I feel.
Absolutely, very well said. Now that brings me to where we can't have a discussion right now here, but the assessments for learning and assessments as learning. I think all of us know about assessments of learning. So most of us, evaluate the kids. We do not assess the children. And assessments are more formative in nature. They are for learning. They are actually looking at the milestones of the children for learning and as learning. The day we understand that and we start assessing the children for learning and as learning rather than off learning, and
Very
we
well said,
just
ma'am.
do not evaluate them, I think we'll on our own get onto the bandwagon to create more items for assessing them. Asta, can we go live with the question?
Sure, ma'am. So a request to all the audience out there, whoever wants to ask any question to any of the panelists, please raise your hand and we would unmute you and you can ask the question. The raise hand button is right there at the bottom of your screen. Now, all right, so we have Miss Kanchan Kumari here with us. Can we please unmute her? Yes, Miss Kanchan, you are unmuted. Please ask your question.
Good evening, everyone. Yeah, my question is, we started online session since March only. From 30th March, we started. But still, with the attendance thing, we are not satisfied. Parents are having good internet connection, everything. They have this facility. They can ask their child, they can facilitate their child to attend the class, but don't know how their mindset has become like the school is doing this to get the fee. So the teachers are calling time and again, they are talking with parents, they are talking with the students, but still we have not got that satisfactory result, that positive result.
So can
if you all
somebody
can
address
help.
this question? Would somebody, one of the panelists, want to address this question?
Kanchan, we need to keep on trying because, as you say, it started from March 30th, and it's this online teaching, which is very new to the parent, which is very new to the teachers, to the students. It will take time to understand it fully, its finer tuning, and nothing can be, will be well taken up by everyone in the same way. So we all have to have patience and have orientation with the parents and students and the teachers constantly, continuously, so that they understand what is this is the need of the hour, and we need to keep on updating ourselves so that whatever the issues that we all are facing can be ironed out. So I think the way ahead is only to try it again and again, with modifying ourselves, updating ourselves, and having the empathy towards each other and orienting everyone in this journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Sangeeta ma'am. So Preeti ma'am would like to
Can I
add
add
something.
here something? Yeah,
Yes, sure, ma'am.
I would like to add here something because very short. No, Mayasta. What I'm trying to let you know is that this is absolutely true for teachers, that they don't find the enthusiasm in the family and the children to connect. Let me tell you, Kanchan, that earlier the irony was that online on the system or the mobile was a wastage of time. Try to understand. So the parents had always had a problem of children hanging on with these gadgets. And as rightly told by ma'am, orientation is very important, but the orientation has to show them the path where the child will reach after this online class. That's very important. Usually there is an orientation for parents to make them understand what is the need of this education and various other aspects. But the roadmap is that if you tell them, if you today for 10 days allow him to come online, this is the kind of a benchmark he's going to progress from 0 to 10. Are you agree and are you with me? If the parent says yes, well enough. If the parents say no, you are not in a dilemma or an uncertainty. You know what is the mindset of the parent. So there wouldn't be any argument at all. I think that's the way you need to do that very robust orientation, one-to-one, especially with those parents who have such kind of a thought process. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Preeti ma'am. So since we are running short of time, we would take only one question from the audience now. So please raise up your hands who would like to ask question to any of the panelists. Okay, so we have Ranjana Shahi with us. Ranjana Shahi, you will be unmuted. Yes, now you are unmuted. Please ask the question and kindly let us know which panelists would like, would you like to answer the question?
So good evening, everybody. It's been great for this webinar. I have learned a lot. My dilemma has been that we are from Haldwani. I'm from Haldwani basically. And here with the online classes, it's been mostly the parents have it on the mobile. Okay. I want to know what kind of screen time is, allowed, or what kind of screen time can we allot to different age groups? Because the parents question us on the screen time. The kid might be watching television or whatever, but when the classes are being conducted, they question the screen time of the child. So if somebody could help me and give me for different age groups, what is the correct screen time or the allowed screen time, so to speak? Thank you so much.
Ranjana, the policy is coming out for the screen times, though there's a lot of politics that is happening on the screen time. We've seen Kerala and Madhya Pradesh and Mumbai, they've come up with various formulas, and Kerala, they've stopped the online classes for the primary school altogether. So having talked to a couple of psychiatrists and the experts here, I can tell you that up till 2.5 years, They say no screen time at all. The children should not be given any online classes. Then from there on to the students who are up till about the age of 6-7 years, the screen time should be limited to about an hour and a half to 2 hours only, not more than that. And it should be in the intervals of time. And thereafter, till the senior children, it cannot be more than 3 hours of time in a day. So the 6 hours, 7 hours classes are a complete no-no. That is why all the panelists have been talking about project-based learning. They've been talking about engaging the students and also getting in more skills and competencies. The content is not very important. See, it doesn't matter whether the child has done 4 poems or has done only 2 poems, or the child has read 4 chapters or has read only 2 chapters. What is important is whether you are able to assess the child on his competencies and skills, whether he's learned something or not. So that's more important. So that is why rationalization of the content and syllabus is also going on. And very soon the policymakers, the CBSE, the NCERT is going to come out with the policy, and you will have all your answers there.
Thank you so much, Jyoti ma'am. So now that's all for our Q&A session here. So in the end, I would just like to say that it was indeed a wonderful session. And, you know, we shared, the panelists here shared the tips and tricks of lockdown in a way that we can also, you know, we are taking something today and we learned a lot. So if you all agree with me, please write yes in the comment section. Indeed, it was an informative session for all of us. Right, great. So I would like to thank all the panelists for taking out time and making this an enriching discussion. It was an honor to have you all here with us. Thank you, Nisha ma'am. Thank you, Archana ma'am. Thank you, Sangeeta ma'am. Thank you, Jyoti ma'am. Thank you, Vinny ma'am. Thank you, Ruhani ma'am. Thank you, Preeti ma'am. So it was pleasure having you all with us. I would like to thank all the lovely audiences out there for joining us too. Please follow us on our Facebook to know more details about our upcoming webinars. The next webinar is scheduled on Wednesday, 24th June, 5 to 6 p.m. Do not forget to register yourself. You can use the link given on our Facebook page. Our Facebook link has been shared in chat with you all. Thank you once again. It was a great event. Wishing you all a healthy and successful days ahead. Good evening. Stay home, stay safe, and stay connected. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you, ma'am.
It's a pleasure being here.
Indeed.
The pleasure is all ours, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Takeaways
Thank
and
you.
lovely meeting
Thank
all
you,
the
Asta.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.